Anti-Israeli demonstrators, pro-Hamas demonstrators, have been protesting in New York City and calling for students, faculty, and staff across the U.S. to demonstrate on their school campuses as well. Now, this following the arrest of Muhammad Ali, a graduate student at Columbia University who played a major part in the pro-Hamas protest at his school. Now, at the same time, the U.S. Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights has issued a warning to 60 universities to protect Jewish students on their campuses, something that they're being investigated for failing to do. Now, with President Trump back in the White House, how might this unfold? They're using not just the bully pulpit, but they're using the long arm of the federal government and funding to get the message across. Here to discuss this, Meg Kilgannon, the Senior Fellow for Education Studies at Family Research Council. She previously served at the Department of Education during the first Trump administration. Meg, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Good to see you.
All right, let's start with this letter. Can you tell us why these 60 universities were recipients of this, well, I wouldn't call it a love letter, but they got a letter.
They got a letter saying that they are out of line with Title VI of the Civil Rights Code and that they need to do a better job of protecting Jewish students on campus.
Any way you look at that, that's true.
Yes, yes. And
they allowed these protests to intimidate, and they basically told the Jewish students, well, look, you need to just stay home.
And let's keep in mind that there were encampments on these campuses.
For days.
For days. And this was following a time that we can both remember when if you were a conservative organization on campus or a young Republicans club on campus, you couldn't host a speaker on campus.
They were run off
because
campus.
of security concerns, right? So they will tolerate some speech, but not others.
This really starts at the top.
Absolutely.
When you look at the president in the previous administration that fostered that environment, and now you look at what this administration is doing, they're saying we're not going to tolerate it.
Right.
Leadership matters.
And Columbia University has lost $400 million in grant money because the American taxpayer is not obligated to send their hard-earned money to elite universities who are going to violate the civil rights of students, particularly Jewish students. That's not something that we're obligated to do.
You know, when you look at these secular universities and the large amounts of money that they're sitting on, and then you look at how much money they're getting in grants from the federal government and from states. You know, I know my home state of Louisiana provides a lot of money to LSU and some of the other universities. You know, if they want the money, they need to straighten up and fly right.
They need to follow the rules. They need to have a campus that's not a hostile environment for students of any faith. And that's not true, of course, right now for Jewish students.
So what reaction, I should say, are we seeing from these universities based upon the letter and the actions of withholding these federal grants?
Well, there is, of course, going to be grumbling, outright complaints. I watched the confirmation hearing of Dr. Bhattacharya, who's been a guest on this program frequently, talking about, especially during the COVID days.
Right.
And one of the questions that he got continuously from senators was about grant making from NIH to their university systems in their states. Yeah, so it shows you what a powerful lobbying arm the higher educational institutions are.
Well, and they get money from so many different federal agencies.
They do. They do.
I mean, when we saw the Department of Agriculture in I guess it was Maine, where the governor there refused to protect girls' sports, and so the president said, "All right, we'll see how you like this." So the agriculture grants. I mean, there's grants from like every agency that goes to these universities.
And of course, we value learning. We want scientific discovery. We value knowledge, right? American taxpayers want to support that. We want to have innovation and to encourage things, but we don't want to have that rubbed in our generosity rubbed in our face.
But they leverage that. They leverage that when your university is able to do certain research and study. You're able to promote that in your recruiting. You're able to promote that in your fundraising, and so you're leveraging those federal dollars to get more money and to attract people to your campus. So there ought to be a standard. They ought to be held to a standard of conduct that is in keeping with the American public funding.
Absolutely, and that so often is ignored. So I'm very grateful to see the Trump administration paying such particular attention to this. Very grateful to Linda McMahon for sending these letters. She's so far been a great Secretary of Education. The Office for Civil Rights there is on top of the Title VI enforcements, and they're trying to clear backlogs because there were many. There are 60 letters that went out today, but there are hundreds of college campuses that had an issue with this.
Yeah.
In the last few years that need to have their investigations cleared. And so they've made it clear that they're going to make clearing those investigations a priority as well.
By the way, voting now on the continuing resolution, Democrats made a motion to recommit, which is kind of a procedural motion to try to stop it, but looks like the votes are there. Meg, we got 45 seconds left. Will the Department of Education close down?
It will tomorrow, but only for one day.
Okay, that's because of apparently some threats or something going on.
Something's going on.
Some universities not too happy, some pro-Hamas demonstrators maybe.
Something like that.
Okay. All right, Meg Kilgannon, always great to see you. Appreciate your insights.
Thanks. It's great to be here.